Hey everyone, I'm Klloo, and welcome to the data pack Runechant, A World to Discover, a massive survival data pack filled with magic and mysteries. Experience new seasons as you traverse different biomes, craft and cast powerful spells, enhance your weapons with new forms of brewing, or gain different abilities through trimming equipment, which has also been extended to weapons and tools. With 8 new advancement tabs to pursue, come experience a whole new world. The data pack is finally at a state release, so no better time to start playing and preparing for more endgame content to come. You can find the pack on Planet Minecraft or Moderate, or of course in the links down below. Right, it's a bit of a fun one today. Let's build a feature from scratch, although it's not my feature, no. It's a suggestion from Elfeens. So, we have a new multi-block to build. We have some items to turn functional, and hopefully I've done the artwork nice enough, as good as Elfeens imagined, hopefully. Right, so we have a new totem, we have these 3 enchanting crystals, and then this as a catalyst item. So we'll go through what exactly Elfeens has suggested, because it is a great suggestion, but the reason why he's made the suggestion. With 1.20.5 or 1.21, whichever comes out, again, it's weird to me because the amount of obviously features they're pushing, I feel like it's just 1.21 and 1.20.5, even though, right, it's got all the back end stuff for Minecraft is just going to get pushed, because I don't see why it hasn't just come out already and then they're working on 1.21, or it just gets rolled into 1.21. Anyway, that's besides the point, right? So with that, we have the new component way of building items, running NBT, and all the shenanigans there. So what it means is a lot of rewriting for me, fun, but a complete overhaul in the way I have conducted the items of Runechant. So the pack will be broken. Oh well, it's in beta, right? I don't know. It feels bad, but I gotta get over it. Anyway, so with that rework, all the items that I have experience bottles will no longer be experience bottles. All the items that I have like nether stars won't be nether stars. There'll be some that maintain their functionality, stuff that makes sense. So for instance, the leather items will still remain leather because that makes sense. They have that double use. Bones will be bones, and anything that makes sense will make sense. But for that reason, right, we need a way to regain experience, because again, as I have come to learn with all my attempts at crafting creative, I run out of experience nice and quickly, which is good. That's what we want. We want the pack to actually make experience more worthwhile rather than just enchanting. So to combat that, we need a way to generate experience. So in comes Elfeens with his suggestion. We have advancements to set up. I don't know if I'll get to the advancements, right? So I did end up adding the new tab, research and relic. So we have Elfeens research. We also have, sorry if I mispronounce this, Jaijus? Juays? That's what comes to mind, right? Given if it's an actual Oriental name. So these are player suggestions. Again, I'm completely open to your suggestions to put into the pack. So feel free to say them. I need tons of stuff to work on. I have a really bad concentration problem, right? So the case in point in seasons. I did the rework. I'm like 80% done, and I just have no motivation whatsoever to do the last 20%, right? So it's almost done, but it's not almost done, and I need stuff to preoccupy me to get my creative juices going again, right, before I go back and work on that. So yeah, I like extra stuff to work on. So this is good. We have the experience stuff from Elfeens, and then, oh god, again, sorry if I'm butchering the name, right? We'll go with what was it called? Phonetics, right? That'll be Jaiju. His suggestion is magic scrolls, which we will get to. I've done the artwork actually for that, right? Functionality, same thing. But anyway, let's work on this. So, to-do list. We need a new multi-block structure called the XP Infuser, created by placing a cauldron on a budding amethyst block. Now, I will make tweaks, right, to the suggestion in my purview of what fits with the pack. I actually do like the budding amethyst block though, right? So it is unobtainable, which then screams to me, well, we need to give the player a way to actually obtain it, because you don't want to have to go to a geode every single time to set this multi-block structure up. But it's kind of a cool concept, right? Having to go find this area of growth, right? Of crystal growth to then create these XP crystals. But I will probably implement a way then to eventually make a budding amethyst and take it with you, and then you can set up in your base. But yeah, so this is the basic suggestion, right, for his XP Infuser. So what do we need to do? Well, simple. I just have to write the function. But I do think we'll spice it a little bit. We might make it require experience to activate. So either you put a mob in there and you're off it, or you get yourself some experience bottles, which are never called experience bottles, annoyingly. You should be able to search by the NBT, the item ID, right? And then you can just not drop them in, throw them in, right? And then if an experience orb is nearby, the detection will be kind of weird, I suppose, because they do bounce. But yeah, and then it will, I don't know, add particles, add something, create a marker, some sort of effect, I'm sure, because it does look a little bit flat, right? Again, I've got the option of retexturing stuff. Yeah, it's a rabbit hole that I know if I start, I will end up redoing so much of the pack. So I'm trying to stay away from the normal way custom multi-blocks are done. But yeah, so this is the XP Infuser, and let's set up. Okay, so nice and simple. Here is, oh god, it's not, I haven't set the right thing, do I? Sorry, let me do that. Although now that looks a bit weird because Minecraft is wrong. Let's do that. Okay, so this is my function sheet for all the multi-block structures, right? Basically, the way the pack works is I mass check every single entity that's loaded. I know, lag, you'd think, but again, it's like what's the phrase? Good for bad, right? I'm doing it because there are a lot of things that run off of every single entity in the game. So just doing it on mass creates a base level rather than probably springing it here and there, which then at some point you could have more active than just this mass check. Anyway, I digress. So all we have to do is basically add the structure detection here, right? So we have a whole bunch of them. And all I have to do is copy any of them, doesn't really matter. And we just copy, paste. Do I want to put it there? Those three kind of go together. Kind of. We'll put it there, I think. Yeah. All right, so first block will be a cauldron. So you'll be inside the cauldron. So that's why we get rid of the numbers. And then under that, we also need another if block to detect the budding amethyst. So make sure it's one down and then just do Minecraft dot budding. I hope that's the right name. Because again, things don't always match up. Budding amethyst, good, right? And that's basically that. That now detects any item thrown into the cauldron as long as there's that budding amethyst under it. And I just have to set up a folder for the actual crafting. So, we'll stick with it. XP, not E, Infuser. And I just have to now set up the recipes, which will actually then run all the functions depending on what items you drop into the cauldron. That is also not an underscore. So that's nice and simple, right? Multi-block done. Took me a few seconds. Again, a lot of the groundwork done, so adding stuff is kind of easy. All right, but what we also need to do is this catalyst item suggestion. So let's pull up exactly what he said again. So a new item, XP Catalyst, throwing it to amethyst block and item. I don't know if he actually means amethyst block, but I'm going to use crystals because that makes more sense to me, right? So a crystal and this catalyst item, as well as any item, will then convert it into one of these shards, right? And we'll have them in tiers. So shard 1, shard 2, shard 3. They'll have different amounts of experience generated. Now, the actual detecting of experience generation is nice and easy. All I have to do is detect whenever the player uses a bottle of enchanting, right? And then along with spawning that normal amount of experience, call it a little bonus, we run the experience function so that it then gives the player whatever we amount to, right? Call it 1 level, 2 level, 3 levels. I'll probably use the point value because again, the way Minecraft does experience is a curve. So you need more experience the later the levels are, but if you just use the function to give yourself levels, it will give you a lot more experience than points. Okay, I won't set the time because that's annoying. But what are we going to do about the catalyst item? Well, what I'm thinking is whenever an experience orb spawns, I'm going to check it, give it a 10% chance to then convert into one of these, right? So they'll just be on the ground, you can pick them up, collect them, and then you can use them, or again, just cash them in for more experience. I know that does sort of create an infinite loop, right? But I will only make it, I don't know, like a 10% chance or something. So you will have to either get extremely lucky if you're just going to pop these over and over again, because they are, again, experience bottles. Otherwise, save them so you can eventually cash them in for greater experience. Okay, so lucky for me, I am already detecting experience under a different means, right? So just execute if entity experience orb. Basically, again, this just runs after checking every single entity, then filters through if it's a player, runs player one. If it's TNT, runs TNT, experience orb. It's running the Rock Crusher. So what I will end up doing is have this go to a blanket file, right? That then splits off depending on if it meets criteria for the Rock Crusher or this new criteria. Although I will have to blacklist this scenario so that when you're trying to restore the amethyst on the Rock Crusher, it doesn't then convert into the catalyst item, right? And that way it doesn't ruin that scenario. Okay, so all we have to do is basically delete this, change it to, again, a blanket thing, and then put this back in on a new function. So just copy that, and then we'll have the other scenario, right? So instead of doing if, we'll just do unless, and unless, and any more? No, and then just run, what shall we call this? We'll just do XP catalyst, right? And that way, if anything starts with XP, I know it's connected to this system, and then this one stays as the Rock Crusher, right? And now we just have to, wherever we save this, have this linked to there. So delete that, and just do run function. It will be in the experience folder, and God, what do I normally call them? I think I just call them check. Right? I mean, they have all different things, I suppose. We'll just do check. Okay, so save that, and then I just have to save this in the correct directory, and then make the catalyst function, which means I do have to write the item out. So give me a sec. Okay, so here's what we got. If the RNG check is between 1 and 100, I'm also curious if I should just change this over to the new roll command as well. Again, when I do a big overhaul, I'll think about stuff like that. All right, so summon item, experience bottle, the custom model data, name, solidified experience, and then the lore text. Perhaps you could grow large crystals with it. And then also, again, if that check is met, it will also delete the experience orb, right? So you can't double dip. You don't get the experience and the crystal. But obviously, it leads to more experience if you then cash in. And also just tags the item with attempted. That's just so it doesn't create an infinite loop where it constantly checks the item. So on the check, I've just flagged it. So it can't have attempted. All right, so all that should be saved. So if we just spawn in a few. In fact, what I should probably do, well, actually, you know what you should really do to start off, is just check it. So we do mob/experience. Okay, they're all there, so that's fine. But I should just up the RNG check for now. All right, so make it 1 to 1,000. That should be the whole range. Save it, reload, and hopefully they all spawn and we can see it actually work. Yeah, perfect, right? So it's interesting. They must stack up straight away. Yeah, that one's a stack. How many did we get? We got 1 there. We got 3 there. So sometimes you can only get 1 orb. That's interesting. There you go. Solidified experience. Perhaps you could grow large crystals with it. So we know it works. So that's fantastic. We get rid of the blankets, just texture item. We'll put that in inventory. Okay, so that's step 1. Now we have to work on the recipes to turn this amethyst shards and X item into one of these 3 crystals. Again, I should just make sure to revert this before I forget. So 10% chance. We'll play around with it. I don't think I should tie the player's luck into it. I don't think that matters, right? Just a blanket 10% chance, more enemies you fight. Because I don't think there's ever a point where you want to be infinite, right? Because then it would be an infinite loop. But then you could also never get experience because every single point of experience would be converted into the catalyst. But anyway, that's done. On to the next step, which is new item, XP crystal. 3 different sizes, small, medium, large. Do we do small, medium, large? Kinda, yeah, right? I mean, this one's 2-pronged, so I don't know if that fits, but we'll use the name suggested. Each contains a specific amount of experience, while we'll add the experience using the experience command. Yep, that's what we're going to do. There's also recipes to transmute. Yes, so if we look at the little tooltip, again, I have to add all these recipes into the actual advancement string. The thought of storing power for times of need or transmutation were never concepts to cross the mind of the first, but offer great use for those with an open mind, right? So again, storing and creating more experience so that you can then utilize a lot of the recipes in the pack, or transmuting, right? Like the Tome of Undying or some of the other items in the pack that you might want. And I do like having multiple ways to get stuff, because although you can trade with all the denizens? There's an I in there, isn't there? Of the Nexus to get the coins. I do like this idea, especially because I think he suggested to make use of
the different items from the Nexus as well. So what is it? A Nexus coin, medium crystal, and gold nugget. No, small and gold nuggets for coin. A gold block for a totem of undying. And then enchanted metal with a nether star. Wait, and combining large XP crystals with enchanted metal gives a nether star, which also, right, sort of makes sense. And then also circles back to my whole idea of being able to make beacons easier to access. Because again, I do want to push the attribute scale, especially with the mace coming out, of Minecraft in general. So having a earlier beacon would be definitely useful, and you can definitely easily get past the generic buffs. Okay, so now I gotta do the 3 crystals. So we have to write the recipe from the multi-block, which is now technically active. Yeah, so anything I throw in there should be detected. We can just run like a say command, but we go do that. We have to do the output. The way I'm probably going to do the recipe though, is the majority of things will give you 1, right? But then I will just write out specific ones, because I'm trying to think of a good way to do it, and there's just not a good unifying bit of data on items, right? To make this an easy check without writing everything out. So I think we'll just make sure the big items get you the big experience rewards, right? Especially stuff in the pack. So again, we're going to use like the jigsaw block for most things, so that might always net, say, level 2, and then stuff like the nether star or other hard to get items or boss drops will get you straight to the 3rd crystal. And then the Totem of Undying, what I think I will end up doing for it is, because it's more easily accessible, I'll just give it the base Totem of Undying effects, but it will drain your experience, right? So it goes the inverse, it just converts all your experience into your second life. Because I believe you keep experience, right? Because the Totem of Undying just skips over the whole death screen altogether. So I just went over this procs, and we'll go over, I guess, how to set up custom Totem of Undying effects. It just drains the player's experience. Anyway, on to the recipes for these 3. Okay, so nice and simple. Here is the way I write out recipes. Basically, all we're doing is from this, where it checks the block structure, it then runs this function, which then stores the data of items within said multi-block structure. So in the Crucible, if they're in the little cauldron bit, or the crucible bit, what do you call it in crucible? The middle, the center, right? And in this case, if they're in the cauldron. So it can store up to 4 items, the initial item triggering the function, and then 3 additional items nearby. Now, I used to have this at 0.01, right? So I couldn't detect the initial item. We've gotten rid of that because it did cause some issues if you perfectly stack items. It no longer actually triggers. So what I actually have to do is blacklist the items we're using for the recipe. And thinking about it, I probably have to go through, although this one's a bit different because the idea is it converts any item. So it will convert these items, which we don't want. But anyway, so crafting slot 1 is the item to trigger it. So this will be the experience catalyst. So all you have to do is set it to the experience bottle and then define the custom model data, right? That's the easiest way to check since all the custom model data is unique. So, God, can I remember it from memory? It was 1997, 86, I want to say. Can I scroll up? No. Yes? No, you can't scroll. So I gotta do it again. Fine. Do that. Where's the data gets? 86, perfect. Right, trust my memory sometimes. Okay, so then the second item in crafting slot 1 is going to be the amethyst. God, are they called shards? Perfect. Again, just listen to your brain. Okay, so amethyst score shard. Now we don't care about the counts because I also have functions that just minus items from a stack, which is nice and helpful. So we can just make it universal. If you throw in a bunch of the catalyst item and a bunch of the amethyst shards, it will just take 1 off the stack and then get rid of whatever is in crafting slot 2 basically, and then convert it into one of those 3 shards. So here we don't actually have to define it, but again, we have to blacklist that the second crafting slot can't be either of these items. So change this to an unless, and then double it up, and then just copy over the data that we've already written out. Nice and simple. Okay, and then we don't need the 3rd slot. So we can get rid of that. And then for the function, this will be the crystal check, basically. Crystal check. So it will then check this 3rd item against a list that I've determined, and then depending on that item, it will then run the functions to generate the 3 different types of crystals. So let me write them out, let me write out the filter, and then we'll test it. Okay, so basically this is how the filter will work, right? Any item I specify to convert into a large, it will check first. Any item then we specify that make a medium crystal, it'll check second, and then any item at all, it will check third to create a small. And the way we make sure this doesn't loop is just at the end of this function. So if it does run and is successful, we just remove the data from the slot, right? So if this is empty, right, doesn't have an item in there, then it won't actually run the small, and of course it won't run the medium or the large again. So once that item is deleted, it will then stop trying to run these other segments, and that should, again, prevent it from looping. So I just got to write these three out. Okay, so here they are. We have, don't worry about the advancement. I'm just leaving it there so it's easier. I don't have to rewrite it. I can just change all the values that I care about to award the correct advancements. We have summon, so experience crystal, large, right? Play some particles, play some sound, and then this run function, stack minus. Again, we'll just check the stack of an item, right? The count number, and then set it to the one below whatever it is. So we do that to the experience bottle, which is the main item we're executing off, so we don't have to define it. Then we do it with the amethyst crystal, and then we do it with the third item, which isn't an experience bottle or an amethyst shard. Now, do I have to put this first? I don't think I have to put this first, right? Because they are experience bottles. I'm excluding experience bottles, but that's another thing that's going to break. Yeah. Anyway, that's for a later date. They should all be saved, but just in case, let's do this. And hopefully it's all working. Now, we haven't obviously done the block perfectly, but baby steps. So we'll do that. I guess we'll just use the netherite sword. I want a diamond, right? Because we're trying to craft all three, and then a nether star. And we should also just double check the functions. And then the other thing we need was amethyst shards, which we have, so that's perfect. All right. Let's see if I have any typos. So crafting, what did I do wrong? That's items first. Then crafting, then XP. Perfect. As you can see, I have typos. Okay, much better. They're all there. I missed a bracket. It's fine. Happens. All right. Please work. Well, the function there, so it should. So 1, 2, and 3. Perfect. Right, so that gets us shard 1. And then if we use a diamond, it should get us the next size up. Perfect. And then if we use... No, not perfect. Yeah, I changed both to be small. No, okay, so it didn't run as it should have, with the second item being a diamond. Misspelled diamond? I think I misspelled diamond. Try with the nether star. No, you know what I'm doing. I explained it before, and then I didn't actually stick with it. I didn't remove the data, so it is looping. Although it then should generate both, but let me fix it up and see. Okay, a little bit of troubleshooting later. It appears to be working. So we throw in a diamond, we hear the ding, and we get a medium. We throw in a nether star, we hear a ding. Cool, and we get large. Yeah. Okay, so it was looping, I guess, and then deleting the crystal that it did spawn first and ending up with the small. But we're good now. Right. So we have XP crystal small can be used to give the player a small amount of experience. Large can be used to give the player a large amount of experience. And then of course medium. Now the easiest way to do it is probably with the scoreboard system, right? We just add in a new custom scoreboard, I guess like XP throw or whatever we want to call it, right? God, what is it? Is it used? I think it's used, right? So Minecraft dot used. And then experience, nope, we do Minecraft dot experience bottle. Yeah, perfect. Right, so that should detect every time the player throws an experience bottle. And basically we just check their offhand, main hand item. Oh, God. This is where it gets complicated, right? Because you can have a large crystal in your main hand, in your offhand, or it doesn't really matter, small crystal in your main hand, throw that, but then you get the bonus of the large crystal. So what's the proper way? I suppose I can turn into a consumable, right? And you actually eat it, which is kind of weird that you munch on crystals. I'd rather keep with the breaking mechanic. You know what? I think that's good enough for this one, because it is actually getting a little bit long, right? So we'll leave it there. I will work on the functionality, then we'll do the totem, and we'll do the effects on the multi-block as well after. I do like that it passively grows as well. That's kind of cool, right? Because it is budding amethyst. Yeah. But it needs some sort of spice, right? I'm thinking like I make one of these crystals grow out the middle into the cauldron, just using the item display or something. Yeah, maybe something like that. Anyway, or, you know, we make one that transitions from amethyst to this, right? One of the, was it amethyst large crystal, amethyst cluster? Cluster. So we just color the end so it matches the color scheme of the experience. And then we just, again, use the item display to have it grow. Well, I guess it's block display because it's a block, right? And that way it pokes through the cauldron. Yeah, I think that could be quite nice. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Right, good start. Hope you enjoyed. See ya.